My sister stole my wedding husband and got pregnant, but when she tried to move into our newly bought house, she was in for a surprise. As a family law attorney, I thought betrayal would be clear as evidence in court. Instead, it crept up slowly, wrapping around my throat until I couldn't breathe. The day I caught them together wasn't supposed to be significant. I'm Sarah Anderson, and I was supposed to be reviewing prenuptial agreements for our wedding, but a migraine forced me to postpone my client meetings. I found Emma's car parked outside La Bernardine, where Michael and I had our first date. My sister shouldn't have been there. She was supposed to be meeting clients for her freelance design work. Michael. Emma's voice drifted through the partially open door. We need to tell her soon. After the wedding, baby. We'll figure it out. Michael's voice, now conspiring against me. My hand trembled as I pushed the door open. There they were, my investment advisor Fiancé and my freelancer sister, intimate at the very table where he had proposed to me. Sarah. Emma scrambled to straighten her dress, but Michael just sat there, watching me with calculated eyes. Oh God, this isn't. Emma's voice shook. We were going to. My voice emerged with practiced control. Wait until after the wedding to tell me you've been sleeping with my fiancé? Michael finally spoke. Sarah, please. These things happen. We didn't mean for this to. How long? The question cut through the air. Emma's tears were falling now. 3 months. And I'm pregnant. The confrontation. The room spun. 3 months. While I'd been preparing our future, they'd been planning their own. Get out. The words came out in a whisper, then built to a command. Get out. When neither moved, I reached for Michael's tie. The ring. The engagement ring. Now. He slipped the diamond off my finger, his touch making my skin crawl. As they shuffled past, Emma reached for my arm. Sarah, please. We need to discuss this. I jerked away. Don't. Don't touch me. And don't contact me. The aftermath. The next few days passed in a blur. My mother's name kept lighting up my phone, her voicemails growing increasingly frustrated. Sarah, you need to come to the house. Emma's devastated. She needs her big sister right now. I finally answered on the 4th day. She needs me? Are you serious, Mom? Sweetheart. My mother's voice dripped with sweetness. These things happen. Emma and Michael. They're in love. Real love. And with the baby coming. Stop. My voice cracked. Just stop. We're having a family dinner tonight, she continued. Everyone will be there. We need to discuss this like adults. I showed up against my better judgment. The dining room felt suffocating. Emma and Michael sat together, her hand on her stomach, while my mother hovered and my father stared at his plate. We're getting married next month, Emma announced. A small ceremony, nothing fancy. My mother beamed. Isn't it wonderful, Sarah? You're going to be an aunt. I stood up so quickly my chair toppled backward. The dinner confrontation. Wonderful? My voice shook. My sister sleeps with my fiancé, gets pregnant, and that's wonderful? Now, Sarah. My father finally spoke. What's done is done. We need to move forward as a family. A family? I grabbed my bag. You want to know what family does? Family doesn't steal your happiness and expect you to celebrate their betrayal. Emma started crying again. She'd always been good at that. Please, Sarah, she sobbed. I love him. We love each other. You're always so perfect, so successful. Just this once, can't you understand? I looked at them all. My sister's tears, Michael's guilty face, my parents' pleading eyes. In that moment, something inside me hardened. They wanted me to forgive and forget, to play the supportive sister and daughter. Instead, I walked to the door. Congratulations on your perfect little family, I paused. I hope you're all very happy together. As I drove away, my phone buzzed with messages I wouldn't read. They thought this was the end. Poor Sarah running away to lick her wounds. But they were wrong. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The plan. I pulled into David's driveway, my hands steady on the wheel for the first time in days. David, my closest friend at the firm, opened his door before I could knock. One look at my face, and he pulled me into a hug. "I need your help," I whispered. "Anything. I want to buy a property. Their dream house, specifically. And I know exactly how we can do it." 6 months later. 6 months can change everything. I sat in managing partner Craig's office, watching him review the quarterly reports I'd prepared. His eyebrows rose higher with each page. "Sarah, these numbers are exceptional." He set down the papers. "You've doubled your client portfolio since spring." I smiled, thinking of the sleepless nights that had gotten me here. "I've been focused." Focused is an understatement. There's talk of partnership. My phone buzzed. Another ignored text from Emma. I switched it to silent without looking. "Speaking of focus," Craig leaned forward. "How's the house hunting going?" "Actually, I'm closing on a property next week. The Victorian in Greenwich." Craig whistled. "That's quite a purchase for a first-time buyer." "You sure about this?" "More than anything." At the coffee shop, after work, I met David at our usual spot. He was already there, real estate documents spread across the table. "The sellers accepted your offer," he said. "But there's something else. Look at this." He turned his laptop toward me. On the screen was Emma's latest post. "Can't wait to start our new chapter. Dream home. Baby on the way. Ash blessed." Below was a photo of her and Michael in front of the same Victorian I was about to own. "They don't know," I said, sipping my coffee. "They think they're getting it." "Sarah," David ran a hand through his hair, "are you absolutely sure about this?" "Once you sign those papers." "They're meeting the realtor tomorrow," I cut in. "To make their offer. An offer they can't afford." "I've seen Michael's financials." "How did you?" "Jessica, in accounting. She owed me a favor." The next week passed in a blur of signatures and documents. I sat in my lawyer's office, pen hovering over the final paper. "Once you sign," she said, "the house is yours. All renovations and modifications will be at your discretion." I signed. Walking out, I bumped into Jessica. "Hey, I was just heading to your office." "Did you hear about Michael?" "What about him?" "Their loan application was denied. They're devastated. Emma's been crying all over social media about losing their dream home." I forced a sympathetic frown. "That's terrible. And with the baby coming." Jessica lowered her voice. "Your mom called the office looking for you, said Emma really needs her sister right now." "I'm sure she does." At the house. That evening, I stood in front of my new house. The porch needed work, but it was mine. David pulled up in his car. "Thought I'd find you here. Want to see inside?" We walked through empty rooms that echoed with our footsteps. Emma and Michael had planned their whole future here. The nursery upstairs, the kitchen remodel, the garden parties. "When are you telling them?" David asked. "Soon." I walked to the bay window, the one Emma had gushed about online. "They're having a girl, you know." "Sarah, don't." I pressed my hand against the cool glass. "Don't make me feel guilty about this." They didn't feel guilty about what they did to me. Change of plans. My phone buzzed. Another invitation from Emma in the family group chat. "Join us in celebrating our new home. Can't wait to share this special moment with everyone we love." David read over my shoulder. "She still doesn't know?" "No," I smiled. "But she will. At La Bernardine." "You're different lately." Jessica said, studying me over lunch. Calmer, almost scary calm. I stirred my salad. I'm just focused on work. Please, you're plotting something. Before I could respond, Emma walked in, her baby bump now obvious. I ducked behind my menu, but it was too late. Sarah, she waddled over, Michael trailing behind her. I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I've been busy. I kept my voice light. Congratulations on the gender reveal. You'd know more if you'd come to family dinners. Emma pulled up a chair, uninvited. We miss you. Michael stood awkwardly beside her. Hey, Sarah. I ignored him, gathering my things. Sorry, I have a meeting. Wait. Emma grabbed my arm. The housewarming party. You're coming, right? We found another house, even better than the Victorian. Everything happens for a reason, you know. I met her eyes. Does it? Of course, like me and Michael, sometimes the universe knows better than we do. Jessica choked on her water. I stood up. Well, I wouldn't miss your housewarming for anything. The discovery. Outside, Jessica caught up with me. Okay, what was that? You looked like you were about to either cry or commit murder. Neither. I checked my phone. An email from the contractors confirming next week's start date. Back at the office, David was waiting by my desk. Emergency meeting. Now. He dragged me to the stairwell. I just overheard Michael on a call. He's in trouble, Sarah. Big trouble. What kind of trouble? Fraud. He's been running a Ponzi scheme. That's why they couldn't get the house loan. The SEC is investigating. I leaned against the wall. Does Emma know? No, he's telling everyone they chose a different house because it's better for the baby. David ran a hand through his hair. This changes things, right? Your plan? I mean, they're already facing charges. Maybe that's enough. I thought about my mother's messages, all about how Emma needed support, how blessed they were, how I needed to move on. About Michael's hand on my sister's stomach at the restaurant. No, I said, it's not enough. That night, I drove past their apartment. The lights were on, shadows moving behind curtains. They looked happy, normal, like they hadn't destroyed someone else's life to build their own. My phone rang. Rachel. Before you say no, she said, hear me out. Sunday brunch, just you and me, and, okay, yes, Emma and your mom will be there, but so will I, running interference. Please? I sighed. Fine. Sunday brunch. Sunday arrived too quickly. I walked into the plaza to find Emma already crying. These hormones, she sniffled. I'm just so happy you came. My mother beamed. See, this is what family does. We come together. Rachel caught my eye and mouthed sorry, so Emma wiped her eyes. The new house is perfect. The sellers accepted our offer right away. Michael says it's meant to be. When do you move in? I asked, knowing the answer. 3 weeks, just in time for the nursery. Want to see the photos? The previous owners are doing some renovations. I looked at the pictures, my house, my renovations. We're thinking of calling her Sarah, Emma said suddenly, after you, to show there are no hard feelings. The plaza fell silent. Even my mother looked uncomfortable. No, I said quietly. You don't get to do that. You don't get to steal my life and then name your baby after me, like it makes everything okay. Emma's lower lip trembled. I thought you'd be honored. Honored? I stood up. You want to honor me? Try not sleeping with my fence next time. Sarah. My mother hissed. People are staring. Let them stare. I grabbed my bag. I'm done pretending everything's fine. Rachel followed me outside. That was intense. It's about to get more intense. I showed her the contractor's schedule. They start tomorrow. The party. Rachel's birthday party felt like walking into a minefield. David squeezed my hand reassuringly. We can leave any time. Not yet. I spotted Michael by the bar, checking his phone with a panicked expression. Emma waved from her seat, surrounded by baby gifts. Sarah, come feel the baby kick. I'm good. I grabbed a glass of wine, watching Michael slip away to make another call. He's been doing that all afternoon, Rachel said. Emma thinks he's handling work. My mother approached. Sarah, darling, Emma's about to open the presents. Actually, I raised my voice slightly. I'd love to hear more about the house. The renovations must be almost done? Emma brightened. Oh my God, yes. The contractors are amazing. They're painting the nursery this gorgeous shade of lavender. Contractors? Michael interrupted, returning from his call. His face had gone pale. What contractors? The ones doing the renovations before we move in. Emma frowned. You said the sellers arranged everything. Right, of course. I sipped my wine, watching him squirm. He hadn't arranged anything, couldn't have, since he didn't own the house. Show everyone the nursery photos, Emma urged. Michael's phone rang again. Sorry, I need to take this. I followed him around the corner, staying close enough to hear. I know I'm late on the payments, he hissed. The house fell through, but I've got another plan. No, please, just give me 2 more weeks before you contact the SEC. The confrontation. Problems? I stepped into view. He jumped, ending the call. Sarah, were you spying on me? Karma's funny, isn't it? Houses slip away, fraud charges pile up. What do you know? I know Emma would be devastated to learn about your Ponzi scheme, almost as devastated as I was when. There you are. Emma waddled around the corner. What are you two talking about? The house, I said smoothly. Michael was just telling me about all the special features. The bay window, the vintage fireplace. Isn't it perfect? Emma beamed. We're so lucky. The master bedroom has this amazing crown molding. That's being replaced, I cut in. Michael's head snapped up. What? Oh, you didn't know? The contractors are replacing everything. Gone by Thursday. Emma's face fell. But we chose that house because of those features. Michael, you said nothing was being changed. No mistake. I pulled out my phone, showing them the renovation photos. See? They're making good progress. Wait. Emma's voice trailed off as she studied the images. That's not. Michael, that's not our house. That's the Victorian we lost. Why do you have renovation photos of a house we don't own? I watched the color drain from Michael's face as his lies began to unravel. The unraveling. Someone else bought it, Michael stammered. The loan. We couldn't. Then why are you acting like we're moving in? Emma's voice rose. Why are there contractors? Why did you let me plan a housewarming party? Other guests were starting to stare. My mother hurried over. What's going on? I'd like to know that too, Emma said, tears streaming down her face. Michael? He opened his mouth, closed it, then turned and walked quickly toward his car. Michael! Emma stumbled after him. My mother caught her arm. What did you say to him? My mother demanded. I shrugged. Just the truth, for once. Emma sank into a chair, one hand on her stomach. I don't understand. We picked out paint colors. How could he lie? I caught David's eye across the yard. He nodded slightly. Happy birthday, Rachel. I called out, heading for the gate. Behind me, I could hear Emma's sobs, my mother's murmurs, and the growing whispers of gossip. Phase 1 was complete. Now for the real surprise. The next day, the contractor showed me the progress. We've gutted the master bedroom and nursery as requested. The new fixtures arrive tomorrow. I ran my hand along the exposed beams, all that remained of Emma's dream nursery. Perfect. My phone buzzed. Rachel calling. Emma's a mess. Michael finally confessed about the fraud. She's staying with your parents. Evening at the house. How much does he owe? I selected a dark color for the master bedroom. Emma hated dark colors. Enough that they're selling her engagement ring. Karma's working overtime. This isn't funny, Sarah. She's pregnant and homeless. She's not homeless, I replied coldly. She's at mom and dad's, probably being told how none of this is her fault. A crash from upstairs made me jump. Sorry, just removing the bookcase. The contractor called down. Where are you? Rachel asked suspiciously. Working late. I hung up. At the gate. That evening, headlights swept across the window. Emma stepped out of her car, tears already streaming down her face. What are you doing here? I called from the porch. Sarah, what are you? Why are you in our house? Your house? I stepped into the light. Show me the deed. Understanding dawned slowly across her face. No, you didn't. I pulled out my keys. Want a tour? She followed me inside, gasping at each renovation. The exposed brick was now covered in white paint. The vintage staircase had been replaced. You're destroying it, she whispered. I'm making it mine. The final confrontation. Why? Her voice cracked. To hurt me? Why did you sleep with my fiancé? I counted. To hurt me? I loved him. I still love him, even after. She choked back a sob. Did you get him arrested too? Michael got himself arrested, just like he got himself into a fraud investigation. He was trying to buy this house for us. She gestured at the gutted rooms. For our family. Your family? I laughed. You mean the family you built on lies? Emma sank onto a dusty stool. I never meant to fall in love with him. But you did, and instead of walking away, you took everything. My fiancé, my future, our parents' support. You took it all with a smile, then expected me to celebrate your happiness. A loud crash from upstairs made us jump. The contractor appeared. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to discuss the nursery demolition scheduled for tomorrow. Emma stood up quickly. You're destroying the nursery? It's my house. I shrugged. I can do whatever I want with it. She reached for her phone. I'm calling Mom. Go ahead. Tell her how your perfect husband is facing fraud charges. Tell her everything. Instead of dialing, Emma sank to the floor sobbing. Please, we can fix this. I'll leave Michael. I'll tell Mom and Dad the truth. Just please don't take our home. The breaking point. For a moment, I wavered. She looked so small, so broken. My little sister. Then I remembered finding her with Michael. Remembered her pregnancy announcement. Remembered every family dinner where she played the victim. Your home? I stepped back. This was supposed to be my home with Michael before you took that future and made it yours. Sarah, please. Get out. When she didn't move, I raised my voice. Get out. Out. David helped her up. She paused in the doorway, one hand on her stomach. You know what's worse than having something stolen from you? She asked quietly. Becoming the kind of person who enjoys stealing from others. The morning of truth. The morning of Emma's housewarming party dawned bright. I watched the bulldozer roll up the driveway. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn. David, are you sure about this? Rachel, Emma's decorating right now. She has no idea. My mother, please don't do anything foolish today. At noon, cars began arriving. Emma had invited everyone to witness her perfect life. Ready? David asked. I straightened my jacket and grabbed the envelope. Time to crash a party. We walked across the street just as Emma was welcoming guests. She froze when she saw me. You're not supposed to be here. Actually, I smiled. You're not supposed to be here. The bulldozer engine roared to life. Emma spun around, her face draining of color. What's happening? The final reveal. My mother pushed through the crowd. Sarah, what have you done? I pulled out the papers. Renovating my property. Michael appeared, looking haggard. What do you mean, your property? She owns it, David announced. She bought it months ago. Emma swayed. But, but we signed the papers yesterday. Show me. I held out my hand. Show me these papers. Michael stepped forward. I have them right here. No, Emma interrupted. You said you had them, but I never saw them. I never actually signed anything, did I? The bulldozer inched closer to the garden. Michael? Emma's voice rose. Did you lie about the papers too? He backed away. I can explain. Explain what? I pulled out another document. The fraud? The Ponzi scheme? Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. That's not true. Check his phone, I suggested. Or better yet, ask the SEC investigators. They're right there. Michael tried to run, but two men in suits blocked his path. James Fletcher, Securities and Exchange Commission. We need to discuss some financial discrepancies. As they led Michael away, Emma crumpled the eviction notice in her hands. Where are we supposed to go? That's not my problem. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Emma, don't name your baby after me. She deserves better than that. The aftermath. The crowd parted as I walked away. I heard my mother calling my name, heard Emma's sobs, heard the bulldozer engine growling. David caught up with me at the sidewalk. Well, that was justified? I was going to say intense. He glanced back. Feel better? I watched as my family's perfect facade crumbled, just like the house would soon crumble. Ask me tomorrow, I said, and walked away from the ruins of both our dreams. The evening. Behind me, the bulldozer began its work. Rachel found me on my porch, watching the sunset behind the partially destroyed Victorian. Everyone's looking for you. Let them look. She handed me a coffee. Michael's being held without bail. Emma's at the hospital. Stress triggered contractions. The coffee burned my tongue, but I welcomed the pain. It felt real. Did you know? I said. I used to imagine my whole life in there. Sunday brunches, Christmas mornings. And now? Now I'm going to sell it. Let someone else build something new from the wreckage. My phone lit up. My mother again. This time I answered. Where are you? Home. This isn't funny, Sarah. Your sister needs you. No, I said quietly. She doesn't, and neither do you. The final moments. Rachel's phone buzzed. She read the message, then looked at me carefully. Emma lost the baby. The words hung in the air like the demolition dust. I waited to feel satisfaction, victory, something. Instead, I felt hollow. Sarah, David touched my arm. Talk to us. I wanted them to hurt like I hurt. I stared at the ruined house. But this isn't what I wanted. What did you want? I don't know anymore. The last visit. Headlights swept across the lawn. Emma stepped out, looking small in her hospital gown. You shouldn't be here, Rachel started, but Emma held up a hand. I need to say something. I stood facing my sister across the debris-strewn yard. I deserved this, she said softly. I destroyed your life because I was jealous. You hid everything, and I wanted to prove I could take it away. She wrapped her arms around herself. I told myself it was love, but really, I just wanted to win. I looked at the house, the demolished parts, the ruins I'd created to make them suffer. I became exactly what they thought I was, I whispered. Bitter, vengeful. We both did. Emma wiped her eyes. I lost everything today. But I lost you long before that. The day I chose jealousy over my sister. I can't forgive you. I know. But I don't want to hate you anymore. I turned to David. Call the contractor. Stop the demolition. You're keeping the house? No. I took one last look at the Victorian. I'm going to restore it. Not for Emma. Not for revenge, but for me. Then I'm selling it and moving somewhere new. Running away? Rachel asked. No, I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. Moving forward, because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's rebuilding yourself from the ruins others left behind.